Whoa, an update. Let's see. Still no engine. But, as you can see, I did get the engine compartment painted. And a few other little jobs. I painted the engine compartment back to the sublime green that it was before. I absolutely love this color. It just pops, especially in the daylight. It's just such a neat color. I coated the entire firewall. You can see that is Thermotech heat barrier, reflective heat barrier, up to 2,000 degrees. And the reason I did that is because my down tubes for my off my turbos come real close to the firewall. In some spots they're about a ½ inch away, and the down tubes are wrapped with header wrap, but I just thought this would be an extra layer of protection, help keep me from cooking myself inside the cab since I removed most of the heat insulation. And it also just helped make the firewall look better since I put a patch panel in there, or a couple of patch panels to smooth it all out. Did the same thing over here. I've got the Maven Performance BTR Engineering bulkhead connectors in. Got the Strange Engineering master cylinder. And if you remember, I modified the vacuum assist pedal assembly for manual brakes so it'll have the right pedal ratio. You can see where the low car throttle cable comes through. This is the 36-inch universal LS1 throttle cable. I have to trim it once I get everything installed, but it's a really nice piece. I do have my coils mounted. You can see on that side, trying to make everybody sick. Come over here. I have them mounted there. And I also down here mounted the transmission cooler. It's tucked up nice and out of the way. If you come over here, you can see, well, it's kind of dark, but it's pretty much a straight shot right through the tranny cooler. So it will get plenty of airflow through it, and the fan will be controlled with a thermostat. So it'll come on, I think it's 165 degrees or 180 degrees, and it'll go off at 165. It's got a nice little spall fan on it. What you can see there. I made a bracket for it out of 1/8-inch plate and welded it to the frame, so that's definitely not going anywhere. The lines for the transmission cooler are -8. I have the AN adapters for the transmission. I got to get those in and get the lines measured out. I'm going to use PTFE lines, just like the fuel lines that I'll show you here. Let's see here. I didn't paint the hood because the hood's not going to stick around for long anyways. So I'm going with a fiberglass hood, so I just didn't see any point in painting it. Let's make sure I got the hoist set. Oh, I'll show you what else I did before I raise it. I had to cut. My fuel system now is, of course I got a bike going by, but my fuel system is now dual -10s from the sump to the pump, so I didn't have room because before I had just 2 -8s and they were shorter. So I had to come in here and open this slot up again. I need to finish prettying it up, but it clears everything. And for now, neither of these lines touch the spare tire carrier, but that'll be going away. I have the -8 return line. Now there's a lot of videos, I might as well talk about this now, but there's some videos online showing what happens if you just use a traditional return like this, where it just dumps into the top of the cell again. What it does is it aerates the fuel. It gets air bubbles trapped in the fuel, and that can cause the pump to not flow as much. It can cause fuel pressure fluctuations. It can cause volume fluctuations. Just not anything you want, especially when you're under boost and you need every ounce of fuel pressure and volume that pump can supply. So what I'm going to do is, this RCI cell just comes with your regular bulkhead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to replace those with a -8 bulkhead that has a -8 male on each side. And I'm going to use a -8 male, which is 1/2 inch to a 1/2 inch hard tube. And I'm going to run a hard tube down to about 1 inch from the bottom of the cell. So what that'll do is it'll basically just force the fuel under the already existent fuel. It'll keep from aerating it, and I won't have those problems. Just something to think about if you're building a big flow fuel system. I mean, not that this is massive or anything, but it's bigger than stock. I did put on what I'm calling the world's worst fitting roll pan. This roll pan is from a company or a guy on eBay that goes by Fiberglass Guru. Judging by this product alone, he's anything but a guru. I cannot say enough how shitty that roll pan is. The only reason I'm keeping it on there now is because I need to have a roll pan on so I can cut the hole for the manual battery disconnect that'll go right here that the NHRA mandates. And I'm also going to have the positive and negative jumper terminals wired up, so if I need to, I can just hook the battery charger to those terminals. The battery will be mounted in a box, same as it was before, but I'm going to have a tonneau cover on here, so it'll just be faster. I can just latch onto those terminals and charge the truck if I'm setting and working on it or whatever. But that is a shitty roll pan. Words cannot explain how bad that roll pan is, how bad the quality is. So I don't often leave negative reviews or even neutral reviews on eBay, but yeah, he earned that one. Inside, if you only have one key to a vehicle, don't lose that key. Over the years, I've lost one, and I only had one key, and I'm not quite sure what happened to it, so I lost it. So I had to put new door keys in and a new ignition switch, which really sucks because from the factory they're all keyed to one key, so now I got 2 damn keys. Not a big deal, but still just a pain in the ass. Inside here, let me see. I'll open the door. I don't know how you can see. I don't even have the seats bolted down yet, so. But I have the firewall coated in 1/4 inch thick Thermotech reflective heat barrier. The other side of this is, it's like what's on the firewall. It's a, let me see, maybe I have some here. The reflective material, here you go. You can see, this is just a scrap piece. And you put the foil side towards the heat and it helps radiate it away. So I've got most of the firewall covered in that. That should help between those two. I'm just trying to keep as much heat from radiating into the cab as I can, especially since I'm not going to have AC or fans in here. Though I may end up putting a cheapy 12-volt fan in here for when I'm driving it around so I don't cook myself. You can see the back side of the bulkheads. You can see they're not populated with any pins yet. And where the low-car throttle cable comes through, this uses a Clevis style. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this pedal. I'm going to just probably heat it up and turn it back, because what they did is they heated it and turned it 90 degrees. So I'll just do the same, put it back, and I'll modify it for a Clevis. And I think that'll work pretty good. I have one of the patch panels in. This is what covers the big gaping hole where the factory 5-speed shifter was, because this was a manual truck. So right now I've just got it held in with Clevis pins. These things are badass. I'll get this all mounted up. I'm thinking about mounting the ECM right here just so it'll be easy to get to when I need to tune or I want to change the memory card for data logging. I'm making a patch panel for here. This will fill one of the holes that was for the fresh air intake in the HVAC box. So, and I made a little patch for the factory blower motor resistor. I got that done. There's some other little holes. I'll get those patched up or plugged off. It's not a big deal. All right. Ow. Like I said, I don't have the seats bolted in. always, I don't give a shit how sure you are, always rock the vehicle on a hoist. Just a friendly tip, so you don't get squished. While it's up, here is that trans cooler. You can see how close it is to everything, but it fits just right. It was just the perfect spot for it. So both the lines will come off and they'll drop down and they'll stay tucked up out of the way. Won't be near heat or anything else. I think that'll work really well. And since I have no inner fenders, I don't have the plastic fender liners in here, so there's no heat trapped. So the heat will just blow out the fender well. Okay, we'll start back here. I don't know how much you can see. There is my 4303 Magna fuel pump with the 75 micron pre-filter. You can see the dual dash 10s coming down to a Y. And they come through. I'm going to change his fitting. I'm going to go to a dash 10 ORB to a dash 10 male. So I'll knock off about an inch. But this is all I had for now. But I have a mechanical shut off in here. So if the truck's going to set, or if I need to service any of the fuel filters, I can come back here and shut this valve off. And that'll shut all the fuel, because with the fuel cell setting up in the bed like it is, gravity wants to push it down, and even if you disconnect it up front, gravity will just sit there and empty that cell. That was something I realized the first time. So I won't have that problem. I'll be able to shut it off, and I'll be able to service these filters. These are really nice filters. This is all dash 10 stainless coated PTFE line. This is the dash 8 return. Let's see, and you can see how I got them tucked up. Got padded clamps every so often, keeps everything nice and tight. Keep everything routed away. This is a 25 micron, another Magna Fuel 25 micron post filter. It'll catch anything after the pump. Oop. And this is my GM Continental ethanol content sensor, and this is plumbed into the return line. And it uses dash 8 to GM Quick Connect fittings, so that's how I can get that on there. So I need to finish, once I get the engine in, I can finish both those lines running up to the engine, to the rails and the regulator, and we'll be good to go. But I don't know how well you can see under here. Nothing fancy, no fuel cell, no fuel tank anymore. The dry shaft safety loop, the 4L80. This is a, I'm trying to think, I think it's a Transdapt universal bolt-in cross member. I don't have it bolted in just in case. See, there's holes here, locating holes. I don't have the bolts in just in case I need to modify it a little bit once I get the engine back in it. So the engine sets, I measured it to the frame. The engine sets with about 5 degrees of tilt back, so I think that'll be okay. 4L80, I'm going to keep the stock pan on it for now. I may go to a deep pan, I don't know. I don't want it to hang too low. It's still got the piece of shit stock converter in it that weighs like 75 pounds. I gotta get that swapped out. I will not be using, or I might use, I'm not sure if I need to, the neutral safety switch. I'm going to use a micro squirt based Mega Shift transmission controller that'll control this, and it will communicate with the Mega Squirt via CAN bus. So that'll make it real dead simple you can see, I don't know, you can see with the lights behind it. There's the tranny cooler again, and you can see the clear shot. I'm going to make a bracket up here and mount my overflow tank, and then have the dump hose for it over here. So if it does dump, hopefully it dumps between the front wheels and not in front of my driver's wheel. No sway bar, that's gone. I sold that. Yeah, nothing much to show. As far as back here, the only plans I have for now is I'm going to cut out this spare tire carrier, this big support that held the spare tire. That's going to get cut out and blow the rivets out of that. And I'm going to weld in a piece of chrome moly, probably 1.5 inch diameter, 1 3/4 brace. I'm going to have to weld one here so I can mount my shock to it. And then this will all be out of the way. As for the rear end, I don't know if any of you seen it before. I've talked about it before. I'm putting a Ford 8.8 rear end in here. It's probably going to be an Explorer rear end. I'm going to use the 33 or 35 spline, gun drilled axles, Auburn spool, braced cover, welded tubes, the big 9-inch Ford bearing ends with the C-clip eliminators that'll have rear disc brakes on it. It'll be a lot better than this little 8 1/4 piece of shit that'll explode. This one wheel wonder here. But that's it for now. I'm waiting on some parts to get welded, and once I get those back, I'll be able to get the motor back together, and then it'll be dropped in for the very last time, at least until I blow it up, and we could start racing to put this thing back together. I'm dying to make some progress on it now. So the weather was just fighting me every fucking time I tried to paint this thing. It would rain or the humidity would skyrocket, and neither of those are ideal conditions for trying to paint anything. So, but there it is, my latest update.